I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight for the board meeting. This time I'd like to call the meeting to order and make note that the public notification of the meeting has been provided. Invite us to come to order. This time, those in the audience that would like to rise and join the board in the moment of silence may do so, and we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance led by board member Kimry Ann Hahn.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to draw board members' attention to tonight's agenda, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those likewise. I'll note for the record that Board Member McIver is participating by computer tonight. At this time, I will call on Ms. Pam Little McDaniel for tonight's awards and recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. At this time, we'll call Ms. Roy and Jolly up front, please. Take the audience.
Porter, I want to come up here in front.
Oh, here, this front.
Right here.
In the front, in the middle. What's in the front middle?
No, you can sit down there.
Just stand down there.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we are recognizing and honoring Ms. Roy Ann Jolly. Ms. Jolly is a graduate of Wilson High School, class of 1971. She has worked in Florence 1 schools since 1973. She is the principal of Delmay Heights Elementary School and has been so for the last 25 years. This is the information that we received at her celebration last week or week before last, and it reads thusly. After nearly 50 years as an educator in Florence 1, Roy Ann Jolly has many stories to tell and a lot of wisdom to share. As a graduate of Wilson High School, class of 1971, Ms. Jolly has been principal at Delmay Heights for the last 25 years. She said that she's never even considered working in another district. Florence is home, said Ms. Jolly, and to be able to work at home and make a difference at home is special. Ms. Jolly attended elementary school at Holmes Elementary, and during those years, schools were still segregated. It wasn't until her senior year of high school that they were fully integrated. Though she was zoned for McClinigan High School by then, she was allowed to remain at Wilson because she was a senior, and it suited her just fine, she said, because I bleed purple blood, and I'm one of those tigers. Ms. Jolly has memories of former teachers, but when asked to name someone who inspired her, one name came immediately to mind, John Douglas, an economics teacher at Wilson. He was the one who showed me that learning could be fun. It could be different from the norm. I remember his grading system so well. You could earn so much money during the course of a grading period based on your assignments, your work, and your participation in class. At the end of the quarter, based on the money that you earned, you could buy yourself an A, a B, or a C. But it really wasn't buying the grade because you had worked hard. People always think social studies and history are boring, but he made it innovative and fun. Along the way, Ms. Jolly has had the pleasure of seeing her former students become educators themselves, including Wilson's principal, Dr. Eric Robinson, whom she taught when he was in the first grade. Ms. Jolly's philosophy is, if you love the kids, we can fix the rest of it, because she says loving students is always the most important starting point when solving a problem. And though she did not intend to become an educator, she says, I look at it now that I had one plan and God had another. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Roy Ann Jolly, celebrating 50 years of service in Florence One Schools. We'd like to recognize faculty and staff members of Del May Elementary. Would you stand and be recognized, please?
You tried.
First of all, thank you. That's the first thing. Secondly, I would not have been able to do the little that I've done for as long as I've done it if it weren't for the people that I've worked with over the years. I have been blessed at homeschool when I worked there. I've been blessed at Lester when I worked there. I've been blessed at Briggs when I worked here. And the last 25 years at Del May have truly been a blessing. So I just want to take a moment of privilege here right now and ask my Del May family to please stand. These are just a few of the people that I work with on a daily basis, and I have a saying with them, y'all make me look really, really good. And I thank them for that. Also, a special thank you to my mentor, the person who I've opted to try to model myself after, Dr. Allie Brooks. He has always been right there. He has mentored me. He has been a role model for me. And I try every day to do just a little bit of what he's been able to do. Allie told me, feed them, and they will come. And so when we have a house filled with parents and children, I remember his words. He also told me, celebrate their successes, celebrate the things that they're doing well. And they'll tell you, one of the things we do at Del May is we try really, really hard to do just that. There have been a lot of other people that have impacted my life, and I thank each and every one of them. I feel blessed just to be able to do the little bit that I do every day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Ms. Jolly. Next. Yes. Next, this congratulatory memorandum comes from Gwen Hampton, Director of Leadership Development with the South Carolina School Boards Association. Board member and leadership team training is a priority for the South Carolina School Boards Association. The Boardsmanship Institute offers a 3-year round training curriculum focused on leadership skills for board members on state and national education issues. We are always pleased to honor the individuals who have reached one of the 6 levels in the South Carolina School Boards Association's Boardsmanship Institute. We congratulate the following members who have reached a new level in this fiscal year. Board members, as your names are called, please come forward to receive your recognition based on your level of training. First, Mr. David Gregg, Level 2, 40 cumulative points, receiving a certificate and silver pen. Give him a round of applause. Next, Miss Kimry Ann Hahn, Level 2, 40 cumulative points, receiving a certificate and silver pen. Mr. Brian Chapman could not be here tonight, but he is at Level 4. And last but not least, Mr. John Galloway, Level 4, 200 cumulative points, receiving a certificate, a gold pen with a blue stone. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends our recognition for this portion of the board meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and once more, congratulations to our 50-year employee and principal and outstanding employee, Ms. Roy Ann Jolly. That was most impressive, most touching as well, the commitment to public service and the grace that she demonstrates every day. We're very fortunate to have her. At this time, I'd like to move into the public participation. This allows opportunity for those who have signed up at this point to address themselves to issues of concern, not as to personnel matters, issues of concern, for speaking up to 3 minutes. We have a number of cards tonight, so we will need to stick strictly to that schedule. But first, I'd like to, from public participation, recognize the principal of this school, Ms. Tara Newton, for her remarks.
I now need the glasses. Chairman Stewart, distinguished members of the board, Dr. O'Malley, and guests, welcome to Briggs. Thank you for allowing me a few moments to speak on behalf of the 465 precious students, 65 of the best faculty and staff, the hardest working APT in the world, and the finest school community for which any school could ask. Can you imagine the excitement and the enthusiasm that filled these brand new halls when Principal Johnson opened the doors the first day of school in September of 1953? Can you imagine the smell of fresh paint, the shine of new floors, and the smell of children, the smiles of children filling this building that September day? Can you imagine how the community came out to display pride for their brand new neighborhood school? Well, I can imagine all of that. 70 years later, the excitement and enthusiasm are just as profound. The smell of fresh paint and the sight of new flooring is just as sensational as I imagine it was on that first day of school. And our community is here and more supportive than ever, as evidenced by our wonderful event we just had. Just like the Briggs of 1953, we have new floors, beautiful new windows, new safe and secure doors, renovated bathrooms, vibrant landscaping, new modern lighting, playground equipment, a new stage curtain, and our first ever car line awning. None of this would have been possible for this 70-year-old building without the vision of Dr. Malley and the support of our Board of Trustees. Thank you. Thank you for what you have done and for what you continue to do to contribute to the revival of Briggs. Thank you for nurturing this facility so that our current students and all future students can be proud to enter these halls each day. Briggs is more than just a school building. It's a community. It's a tradition. It is a time capsule with halls that contain 70 years of memories, pride and joy for students and alumni, many of whom were just here. Its purpose is to ensure that our children in this community leave here with an excellent education, a purpose for greatness, and the leadership characteristics to succeed at anything for which they can dream. We are truly blessed at Briggs, and we thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. And we appreciate the school hosting us tonight. Thank you for that. At this time, I'll call upon Jerry Keith Jr., please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm delighted to stand before this Florence School District 1 board this evening, representing the Florence branch of the NAACP. I'm also delighted with the number of parents that I see here tonight. I had a chance to go around and speak to most of you, and I'm just so glad that you took the time out to come and be a part of this school board meeting. As heard, I'll say it again for those of you who don't know who I am. My name is Jerry Keith Jr., and I'm the president of the Florence branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. The NAACP would like to take this opportunity to update the Florence School Board and the community on the status of its request of the United States Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights to launch an investigation into Florence 1 Schools' zero tolerance policy. The Department of Education announced in September of 2022 the decision to launch an investigation in response to a Title VI complaint filed by the Florence branch. This investigation is a significant step at that time in the nearly 2-year battle against the district's discriminatory and harmful zero tolerance policy. The Florence branch of the NAACP reports to the Florence 1 School Board and to the community that the branch's legal representation has provided the following update. The United States Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights is continuing its investigation into the Title VI complaint against Florence 1 Schools. Florence 1 Schools has been compelled to provide data, and the Department of Education reports that they have received significant information from the district. The Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights welcomes any additional complaints or concerns. That's the reason I'm here. Parents and community members with complaints or concerns about Florence 1 School zero tolerance policy or any other concern are encouraged to contact the Florence branch of the NAACP. Our telephone number, if you'd like to take note of it, 843-673-0693. We also encourage the voters in this district to register and to update your voter registration card now, because as 2024 will be a critical election here locally, state, and nationwide. Thank you, Board, for your time.
Thank you. The next card that I have, and I apologize, I don't get the first name. The last name is McCollum I'm left-handed, and likewise, my staff complains of my handwriting every day, so that's on me. But if the holder of that card would come forward.
Good evening. My name is Rosanna McCullum. I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you. My apologies for not noting the name. Thank you.
That's okay. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Again, my name is Rosanna McCullum, and I am with the Savannah Grove Community Action League. I want to ask a few questions, well, one question in particular to our representative, which is Ms. Bracy. A question regarding her serving as our district representative for District 4, which includes Savannah Grove Elementary School. For the past 20 years, at least every 5 years, Savannah Grove has been promised a new school. We were even at the point now that we have purchased this land for this new school. We've been told that it's in the next 5 years planning, but yet we see new projects that's been built, new buildings, new renovations to different schools, different things money has been spent on. Ms. Bracy, what we want to know is what your position and what your stance is for the construction of Savannah Grove Elementary School. Is your stance the same as Mr. O'Malley? When you were elected to represent District School 4, Savannah Grove Elementary School.
Ms. McCullum, your remarks would be addressed to the full board,
Okay.
not singling out a board member in this context.
Okay, so then I go back to the board.
To the board, yes,
To the board.
ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry for that.
That's okay.
To the board to make sure that we are well represented, that our voices are being heard. Each one of you were elected as our voice. And as was said before, in the next 2 years or so, it's going to be up for re-election time again. And it depends on now how you serve us now as a community will be dependent on whether or not you be re-elected again. Again, I thank you for the opportunity, and I hope that we get to see each one of you again and that we can get this easily and resolved as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'll call upon Mr. Larry L. Jackson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
During your last meeting, the administration regaled us, the taxpaying shareholders of this district, with facts and figures, even hearkening back to the time when Dr. Brooks and I sat in the superintendent's seat. We're grateful to our friends in New Jersey, where they have also got records when someone sat in the superintendent's seat in New Jersey. We'll be sharing that information with the board at an upcoming meeting. There were pointed references to the origin of the zero tolerance policy. I'm just an old retired person who did sit in that seat where I valued the importance of treating people with dignity and respect. Last month, we were told that the community came up with the zero tolerance policy. Let me share with you a memo that I received from a group of parents. Good afternoon. There have been a few incidents regarding bullying. Middle school is a hard age for students socially, but please help them to understand that targeting someone because they are different or to get a laugh from their peers is bullying. An IB student is expected to be open-minded and inquisitive. They should respect their peers and want to learn from them. Florence 1 takes bullying very seriously. Therefore, they have a zero tolerance policy, resulting with expulsion. Students were given a talk via video today about bullying, as well as completing a form stating that they understand bullying and its consequences. So I'm confused. How is it that you don't have a zero tolerance policy? You didn't create a zero tolerance policy, but your staff members are sending out memos to parents talking about a zero tolerance policy. How can this happen? Before I return to my new seat, let me say this to this board. In John 3:11, he says, we speak of what we know and we testify of what we've seen. But still, you people will not accept our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll next call upon Andrea W. Jackson.
I am here this evening to speak with you with regards to zero tolerance as well. I was present at the August 10th meeting, at which time it was indicated by the district's administrative leader that zero tolerance is something that someone else came up with, that was a terminology that was not vocalized by him. But I would share with you that I went back because I consider the mantra students first as the guiding light for Florence School District 1. And when I reviewed the November 11th, 2021 board meeting, which is on YouTube, there were 3 requests that were made by the district's leader. 1, that vaping be dealt with as a level 2 rather than a level 1 offense, that any student who verbally or physically abuses a faculty or staff member be immediately referred to Alfred Rush Academy, and then that fighting be dealt with differently than it had been. And I will speak directly from what was said. What I'm asking is if you fight in our schools, there's a zero tolerance. Went on to say, I know some will be caught in the net, but fighting should be cause for an immediate expulsion. And for anyone who wants to go back to that November 11th, 2021 board meeting, go to 2 hours, 48 minutes, and 6 seconds, and you will find that comment. Several board members during that meeting shared opinions, some in support of and some in opposition of this particular proposal. Throughout, I noted some sarcasm of some board members towards others, which is never an example that needs to be set for our children or our families. Some of the comments that were made were incongruent with the student first motto, such as, we can't afford to fix them all now. After having worked in adult education for a number of years, I see why some of these kids behave the way they do. Now, several constructive recommendations were made as well, though. Let's revisit the purpose and intent of the district's alternative school, which is now Alfred Rush Academy. Let's hold community meetings so that discussions can take place that might allow for an exchange of ideas and allow us to come to some understanding. Let's seek to determine root issues related to fighting, provision of training for administrators, etc. Time rolled on, and there was even mention made of mentorship programs. But at 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 25 seconds, when asked by a board member what it was that the superintendent needed them to do, the response was, I would just say, respectfully, that tomorrow I'm going to do what I told you. I don't have time to talk. Where has everybody been? If you want to throw me the hell out of here, then go ahead and do it. I can't wait any longer.
Time.
Thank you.
Let's come to order. Next recognized Charles Fox.
Mr. Chair, Brother Charles has signed up and delegated his minutes to me.
Mr. Williams, the policy does not allow assignment of time. You can each have your 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm here tonight as the president of Racial Justice Network, representing families that have come to us and made known their displeasure with what is going on with the administration here. With that in mind, we have come tonight collectively with other organizations to ask the superintendent to resign.
All right, so. Let's come to order. We'll come to order, and also your comments are out of line. They don't address themselves to a specific individual. You'll need to refrain from
I
that.
didn't call his name. He has an office. I'm
You are
calling the
identifying
office.
the individual. There's no question who we're talking about. We have one superintendent. That is not proper. This is not the forum. Even your own fans back there recognize what you're doing. You can't do
Those are
that.
not my fans.
Cannot do that. You're out of order. No, this is a public meeting. We allow public participation. It's not open to debate. You can address an issue, not a personnel matter. It is in writing.
That I can't
No.
address the office of superintendent?
You may address issues. You may not address a personnel matter.
I did not call his name.
It's not a matter of calling the name. It's a matter of a personnel matter. That is not proper in this context.
Okay?
We're gonna clear the room if you continue with this.
We have sat silently and watched as parents came and brought their concerns before this board, and had the board respond by letting the chief recipient of most of the concerns write a response. We're not satisfied with that, and we won't tolerate that anymore. This is a board meeting, and so we're addressing our concerns to the board. We want to see a copy of the policy or recommendations that you made with the sheriff's department in relations to the SROs. We want to know why is 83% the number of involvements of law enforcement. We're trying to understand that. We want to know the number of the racial breakdown of parents who are involved with Return to Learn. We want to know the board's position on the battery plant that is being placed 600 linear feet from Wilson. You have been given the responsibility of safety for our children, so you have to have a response. You can't sit idly by and let it come. We want to know the board's response to that situation. What is the board's position? There are a number of things that I could go on into as far as the superintendent being unresponsive to parents. Black parents, yes. We need.
Please come to order. We've got a speaker. He's entitled to be heard. Go ahead, Mr. Williams.
We need that issue addressed. When parents come down to the district office, and we noticed at last board meeting.
Time.
We made
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Fox? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Next, recognize Ms. Gloria C.L. Jones, excuse me.
I'm gonna speak fast. A board member emailed me stating I urge the district to extra cautious and diligent when evaluating any entity recommended by Ms. Jones. In addition to the questions surrounding the legitimacy of Ms. Jones' nonprofit status claim, her misrepresentation of State Department of Education rulings to make it appear that she has helped numerous students when it was the district that actually voluntarily recommended actions, plans, and that the fact that she personally profits from payments and donations made to her nonprofits. Parents have emailed this board member stating his allegations of me are inaccurate. I have assisted many parents for free, and it was not the district that voluntarily recommended action plans, but me through my advocacy that have supported parents and their children in receiving evaluations, training on IDA regulations, students receiving accommodations, and services previously rejected or denied by the district, and the more to assure their children in receiving a free and appropriate public education. Therefore, I seek an apology from this board member that questions my legitimacy and the advocacy support I have provided to many Florence One parents and students. A board member questioned my records and credibility as an advocate and nonprofit organization. Now I would like to question yours. The superintendent charged a nonprofit organization over $5,000 and did not prove how he came up with this amount to be accurate. I questioned him to produce Florence One school records, contracts, and how he charged this nonprofit organization over $5,000, and he did not have evidence of such a fee. The superintendent then decreased the amount owed to $1,000, which my nonprofit organization, Divine Acts of Kindness, paid to support athletic students using the Florence One school facility. This is not an allegation. I will provide you with the data to support my previous statements. I am requested that Florence One School Board investigate how the superintendent is handling nonprofit organization contracts, money received, and to verify he is not discriminating against nonprofit organizations and misusing district funds due to inaccurate record keeping. Also in February and March of 2023, as a parent, I appealed a medical homebound issue for my child, and as of today, the superintendent has not responded to my emails or appeal. I have requested my son be allowed to ride the IB bus due to this would save the district funds related to transportation. I have addressed this to the superintendent, and he is ignoring and not responding to my emails that would save the district funds. There are only two, those are two of many issues I want to address why the superintendent should be terminated or resign
All right,
due
you're out
to
of
his
order.
failures of
You're
following
out of
Florence
order.
One school policies and
Thank you,
procedures.
Ms. Jones.
And as
That'll
always,
conclude your
I am the
remarks.
glorious C.L.
Yeah,
Jones.
likewise, thank you. The next recognized Barbara Brooks. The audience come to order. I will next recognize Barbara Brooks.
Good evening, and thank you. I'd like to say a few words from one of the best books that I'm sure all of us may be familiar with. The first letter is B. Be intentional about all that you do for Florence District 1 students as well as employees. The next letter is I. Be interested in the outcome of all students. The next letter is B. Behavior is learned not only from parents, but those in leadership as well. Number L, lead as if the ultimate approval is standing before you. E, enrich the life of all you encounter in your position as the leadership of Florence District 1. Again, I want to say thank you for having the opportunity to say a few words about my desire to see Florence School District 1 become a role model, not only for the district, but for more importantly, that the world may see we are invested in the lives of our future generation. Lastly, I would like to see that you decide to do a feasibility study like USC is doing and calling all the graduates to find out what they gain from being a member of the school district and use that data to make the district even better. I know that it will be allocating money, but I really believe that this will help the generation to come. So if we look at the problems, we can correct them. And I do thank you for the opportunity because I truly am interested in the education of all students in Florence District 1. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, recognize Allie E. Brooks, Jr.
I am grateful for the opportunity to stand before you to express any concerns as well as positive comments obtained from the community. I know that you do not respond to questions during the open session, which I do understand. Here is my question. How can the citizens of Florence District 1 that come before the board with concerns have the assurance that his or her concerns are being reviewed and that a progress report will be sent with an explanation about his or her concern and/or the board needs for additional information? In order to have a positive impact for the students of Florence District 1, it will take the community and most definitely the school board to achieve the highest possible standard for all students. To assist in facilitating this process, it is imperative that decisions are being made for and are heard, and feedback is given to all concerned and valued as necessary and important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, recognize Claire Austin. All right, next recognize Maurice McLean. Okay, Ms. Austin.
Hello, my
Good
name
evening.
is Claire Austin, and I'm just here, I support the termination of the superintendent.
Thank you, you're out of order.
Thank you.
Next recognize Maurice McLean.
Maurice McLean, concerned citizen. I'm here about the treatment of the students from Timmonsville, former Timmonsville District 4. My concern is that too many Timmonsville District 4 students are falling behind academically. They're being expelled, suspended, and/or shunted to self-teaching environments. I'm raising this concern because I was really afraid for those children when the decision came down to dissolve District 4. Didn't know what would happen to them, hoping they would go to Darlington County and not come to Florence County, because I feared what would happen to them if they came here. And that's been manifested by reports to me from friends and families related to these children. The children are changing their personalities. They don't want to come to school. They're crying, feeling ill. They've developed a lack of interest in learning. There are changes in their personality. That's trauma. Parents seeking assistance when their child is not allowed to register or return to school for various reasons that no one seems to know why. And the parent is recommended to give a given action to take without anything in writing. So there are parents whose children are told that their children have been suspended or expelled, or they can't come back to school, and there's no one in the district to tell them what to do. So I'm asking, this is my recommendation, I respectfully request that the board address the following questions. Does the board know what measures were taken to embrace the District 4 students in 2022 or presently? How often is the board updated with explanations on these students' progress? What data has been shared with the board regarding academic progress, attendance, and other factors related to the blending of these two districts? What action outreach has been deployed to welcome Timmonsville parents or assist them in understanding F1 procedures and policies? How has the state's move to dissolve District 4 benefited the students of that district? What policy, what practice, what evidence does District 1 have to show? And finally, how is the Timmonsville community being included in Florence 1 decisions moving forward to erase significant identity points of that town? Individually and collectively, I would hope that the school board members already know the answers to those questions. If not, I hope this entity, which declared interest in Students First, must answer the questions so many speakers have asked during the past few months. What students are first? And the follow-up question is, what's first?
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'll recognize Lanika Shelley Williams.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lanika Shelley Williams. I am here representing the Racial Justice Network. We do have the founder and CEO here, Elder James Johnson. And I wanted to first address that I sent all of you all a FOIA request, the superintendent and his administrator, asking for the South Carolina Insurance Trust Bond information, including the declaration page and the superintendent's new and current contract as superintendent. I sent all of the board members the sworn oath of office that you all took when you all became elected officials, and any contracts, past or present, that you all have with the district. So this is you all's public notice, but that was an email. I'm here on business to ask for all of you all's resignation. And I'm also here as to eliminate the waste. It's time for the waste to go. We're here to eliminate the waste and get our community back. And I'm calling for this for numerous reasons, but I'll just state a few so we can be clear. There are currently over 20 lawsuits against the district and the superintendent, which is unacceptable. Y'all got to go. For all the issues, trauma, pain and suffering, violations that the district has caused.
Hold on just a moment, please. The audience needs to come.
My children,
Excuse me just a moment.
Yes.
You're speaking, the audience needs to come to order.
Okay.
We'll pause until we can be heard.
Okay. So the issues, pain and suffering, trauma and violations that not just my children, but so many others have experienced in this district that you all hold a duty to, y'all got to go. The current
That's enough.
The current several.
Hold on. I've already said, if I can't hear you, we're not going to continue. If you can't.
You can't. They're quiet. I'm a public.
No, we are not going to continue.
So we have the OCR, the several OCR complaints and investigations against the district in violation, multiple violations. The fact that you all failed to provide my children with their post-secondary transitional needs, and so many others. My kids couldn't even apply and start college with their peers because I came to the district numerous times after the administrator, the superintendent, ignored people who look like me multiple times. So we came to the board and the board ignored us, so that for that reason, you all must go too. You all sit there and ignore us as parents and community as we bring concerns to you all directly after he ignors us. And then you all allow him, the problem, to respond with a 2-sentence generic letter basically saying that you all are going to continue to ignore us. And I admit, the superintendent is a mastermind. He came down here in his Clemson connection from Jersey and took advantage of all you Southerners. He enlisted the sheriffs. He enlisted the sheriffs to act on his behalf and use them as paid weapons. He reads the media's palms as being their biggest advertisers, like we need to know where to send our children. We don't need advertisements for that. and he made friends with prominent members of Florence. Some of you all board members benefited financially too from sitting on him and him being there, which is why I asked for y'all contracts. Everyone basically had stuff to gain besides the children, and that's what we're supposed to be here for. So at the rate of the
All
lawsuits,
right, time,
what are y'all going to change the name to now?
time, thank you, time.
Y'all got to go.
Yeah, and your time's up. You're not recognized yet? No. All right, those that engage in the outburst, I would ask that you be quiet. Trey Cooper.
Good evening, community. Thank you, board. Good evening, community. Thank you, board.
Yes, sir.
The Savannah Grove Community Action League is a nonprofit organization which operates and advocates on behalf of and in the best interest of the Savannah Grove community and its residents. For several years, the Savannah Grove community has promised a new Savannah Grove school, and yet no committed plan to move forward has been provided. In recent meetings with the board stated they would not commit to a new Savannah Grove Elementary School. As the elected Florence School 1 board, among the most important responsibilities you have is to develop the annual budget to run the school system and evaluate the superintendent. It is important to the Savannah Grove community and neighboring communities watching the outcome to know which members of this board are in support of honoring the commitment made to the community on behalf of its children. A part of the mission of the U.S. Department of Education is to ensure all children have equal access and to prohibit discrimination. We sincerely hope that this board of elected community members are in alignment with that national mission. The community expects your effectiveness in having a clear vision, focusing on student achievement, connecting and communicating with the community to build positive relationships. Enhance your group's public image and to strategically utilize these resources. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Abigail. I believe it's Abigail Martin, please. Pardon.
Good evening, everyone, to the board and superintendent.
Good evening.
To everybody that showed up, their professional time. I know I only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to run through these questions pretty quickly. Hopefully this is recorded, so when you guys go back and play the tape, you can address my questions in writing to the address that I have on the card. So the first question is, I would like an account of all lawsuits against the district and the status of those lawsuits. Second, why did Superintendent O'Malley bring a vote for zero tolerance policy to the board when there's no such documentation of a zero tolerance policy? Third, what were the requirements to justify implementing a said zero tolerance policy? 4, what criminal activities within the K-12 schools of Florence District 1 has justified a budget being passed of 10 armed sheriffs at each school with a budget of $676,122. Also, an additional 13 armed sheriffs at a rate of annual salaries of $552,094 in the elementary schools. 5, I would like to know the list of action items from your August board meeting that was raised, a timeline of completion, and if those items were resolved. 6, what policies were reviewed and updated over the course of 3 years from an earlier board meeting this year? It's stated in your meeting minutes that you guys had completed your policies and standards within the school, and it took a time frame of 3 years for those to be updated. 7, there was an audit done. Would like a copy of those results and if those gaps of the audit was remediated in the time frame from the Chief Financial Officer. 8, I would like to receive the breakdown of each Florence District 1 school expulsion for 2022 and 2023. Basically, from all of the schools, would like to see an account if there's data to show who was suspended and what race and what group of people. 9, would like to know how many K through 12 teachers are currently certified to teach special education students, what schools are they located at, and the count for each school, including grades they're currently teaching. And the last question, how many charter and alternative schools are currently active in Florence District 1, and how many of those schools are currently under investigation to be closed down? Thank you.
Thank you. Next recognized Barbara Moses.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm speaking on behalf of Inquiring Minds Want to Know. I spoke at this board meeting last month, and with some questions. There seems to be a white lie that's being perpetrated as it relates to the validity of the zero tolerance policy. In December 9th, 2021, you all passed a policy, 2022, and you all passed a policy. It had to do with the code of conduct. Now, since there is a question about the validity of the zero tolerance, tonight I am requesting that the 16,300 students that you have in Florence School District 1, because I polled over 50 parents, no one has received an update of the code of conduct policy that you all say is not the zero tolerance policy, but it was the code of conduct. So I'm requesting that all of them get it in writing. I'd like to have a copy also, because if you amended it, someone should have a copy. So what are you using to put the kids out of school if there's no zero tolerance, but they also don't have a code of conduct policy? Also, I said give it to them in writing and in their hands, because the parents don't have the capability to download and print off over 40 pages. The code of conduct policy is over 40 pages, so the parents need to have this at home to study. If they don't know, you don't know, they're just throwing the kids out of school and everybody's saying, oh, that's what they say. No, we want it in writing, and it should be in every home for every parent to know what is in the code of conduct. That's why we always get messed up. We don't know what it is we should have. Now, the next thing of it is that I want to go to is the due process hearing. And speaking with parents, when you are suspending and expelling kids from school, how many days are you all supposed to have a due process hearing? Kids have been sitting down and parents have been waiting weeks and months for a due process hearing. Kids don't have any business being out of school and sitting home for 2 and 3 months. One parent came up and said the child was out of school for almost a year. That is unacceptable. And these things are only being done to our kids. The next thing of it is I wanted to, with Timmonsville. Before Timmonsville was incorporated with Florence, District 4, there was a teacher shortage. Now you brought in more students, there are teacher shortages. I want to know, what did District 4 do with incorporating and bringing in those middle and high school teachers from Timmonsville? Were they brought in to help alleviate the shortage in Florence School District 1? And those are the things that I'd like to have in writing from the board.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. That concludes the public participation cards of this evening. I appreciate all the speakers having brought your concerns to us. Thank you. This time I'd like to draw board members' attention to tonight's agenda, the action items. If there's no objection, I will entertain motion to approve action items 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions with respect thereto? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor then of approving action items 1, 2, 3, and 4, would please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise? Okay, they are approved. Next, move to action item 5. That's the Hope Health Agreement with Florence District 1 with regard to Brockington Elementary School for the 2023 through 2026 term. I'll recognize Dr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. This is, we did a one-year agreement initially with Hope Health in a partnership with Brockington Elementary School. That partnership has been very successful. We would like to continue that and make it a 3-year agreement as we made significant investments. And so before the board is a 23 to 26 memorandum agreement with Hope Health to provide those services to those students.
All right, and you see in your packet then the proposed agreement, which simply is an extension beyond the initial one-year term that we've had. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, when will we get like a mid-year report or something from them on the utilization of the facilities?
Yeah, we could kind of give you a schedule now of how they get, what kind of care they get, dental care. Right now, it's open on Mondays. That's when they get most of the care, but I can provide that now, and then a mid-year report on how many students were served.
Yeah, that's the utilization there.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor then of the 3-year contract with Hope Health for Brockington would please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next, item 6, for those board members who plan to attend the conference where the South Carolina School Board Association annual delegate assembly meeting is held. We need to designate delegates or a delegate who represents our district. We're entitled to 5 votes. We can have 5 individuals or we can have 1 individual. Are there any volunteers? Don't everybody raise your hand at one time. Who has not done it yet?
Looking at me.
That's right. Ms. Caldy made the mistake of eye contact.
David's got his hand up. David.
Davey?
I had done it if I needed to.
All right. Mr. Gregg, thank you.
I'll serve with Davey.
All right. Got 2 volunteers.
Mr. Chairman, so will I.
All right. 3. My goodness.
You know, now we have 3.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So that if you 3 will serve, that would be, it's actually a good experience to learn the issues. All right, so that'll be so noted. There's no need to vote on that. Thank you. Next, item 7 is the suspension of board policy BG/BGD, which would require 2 readings on the approval of a modification of a policy. And the policy that's addressed, that's in your packet, is GDD. And as was explained last month, this is to basically step up the benefit opportunity for our maintenance staff to bring it on a par with other employees. So I guess we will have that discussion for item 8, but first I'd like to entertain a motion then for suspension that requires 2 readings.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. And you understand the purpose of that for this evening. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Item 8 then is that policy. Either Ms. Hone or Superintendent O'Malley, if you'll just again briefly highlight what we're doing.
Okay. So in your packet are, one is the draft policy and then one is the one after the strikeouts. But again, this is for 260-day custodial maintenance staff vacations. As we discussed earlier, they only receive their vacation after working a full year. What we'd like to do in changing this policy is that they, like others, accrue one each month. And so they will accrue at the beginning of their first month of employment. And then again, like other employees, they were only originally able to carry over 5. We would like to increase that to 8, that they'll be able to carry over as with other employees. And those are the only changes that you'll see to the policy, other than a few dates on the top. And again, inclusion of it, that these are paid holidays that are listed on the top. We want to make sure that was clear.
And the effect of this is to bring them on a par with other employees?
Correct.
Okay. For the explanation, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
It's moved and seconded. Not hearing any discussion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Thank you. Next is item 9, sale of surplus property, TMS 70006-07-007. I'll recognize Dr. O'Malley for an overview, and then I'll entertain a motion.
If you would look in your packet, obviously, the last item, which is the proviso. So the state legislature had passed the proviso 1.113 regarding surplus property. This is any property that has been vacant, unused, or for not par for student instruction for 4 years and not included in a district's capital improvement plan for future use. We were required to put that surplus property out for bid and for sale. The district did do that. As you see in your packet, that is provided with our real estate broker, and had put it out, and they gave you all the items of the people who bid on it, and recommending from our real estate and administration that we go with the highest bidder for that property, and that would be the recommendation from the board. You also included each of the bidders' bid packets, so you have that as well.
Okay. So the information before the board in the packet with the recommendation then is to accept the high bid, and that administration be authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to complete that sale process in favor of the highest bid. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Got a
Second.
moved and seconded. Any questions or
Hey, question.
comments? Yes, sir?
Who's the high bid?
It's on my sheet.
I know, which one? Daniel?
What?
Is that in here?
Yeah, looks like you're on it right now, I think.
That one?
No?
Daniel Brooks?
No, it would, the buyer is the highest, there were 4 bids. The highest bid,
I'm at Braddock. All right. I just didn't see it, Doc.
okay,
All right,
you got it now?
got it.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, motion's been made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Okay, that is approved. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the board to go into executive session to discuss student appeals. The discussions would take place there. No action would be taken. Any action, if any, to be taken would be taken in return to open session by the board. May I entertain a motion that the board then go into executive session?
Second.
Moved and second. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. So the board then will retire into executive session for those discussions, and at such time as those discussions are completed, we will return to open session to entertain motions, if any, and to adjourn. All right, so the board's been in executive session to discuss the matters that I announced. We've had those discussions, no action was taken. I'll entertain a motion for us to return to open session.
So moved.
Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those likewise. Thank you. So in executive session, as was stated, we had before us student appeals, and in the order that they were presented and discussed, I will simply refer to them not by name but by number, and would offer as a motion for the floor that the board would uphold the action taken by the hearing officer for students 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor would please say aye. Aye. Opposed likewise. Thank you. I'll now entertain that motion for adjournment. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.